What's up, internet friends? I'm Kevin Garaventa, and welcome to another episode of the PlayStation Plus Game Club. This is a show where we pick one game from the PlayStation Plus library and break it down for your entertainment, information, and amusement. Today, we are talking about Rayman Legends, a game developed and released under Ubisoft's UbiArt program, and it had a staggered release from August 2013 to February 2014, where it would eventually be released for all major consoles, handhelds, and PC. This is one of the most stylistic games I've played, and we'll get into that later. But first, joining me today is a returning club member who I love talking with, Robert Fitton. Welcome back.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me back.
It's great to have you back. I always love having you on because, first of all, you've got a great radio voice, and second of all, you're
I have
just
a great radio face too, so yeah.
I think
That's
all
what
of
my
us.
mom told me.
And also another returning club member playing back-to-back monthly games, Jordan Vickers. Welcome back.
Ahoy hoy.
And also, I really have to thank you for picking Rayman Legends for us to play, because I haven't played it since, I think, 2016. And jumping back into it was a huge nostalgia trip. So thank you.
You're welcome. I too haven't played it since it was like new for the PS3 at the time, I think. And man, I forgot a lot. So going back, we'll get into it, but man, there's a lot.
Oh, yeah. But before we start talking about everything to do with Rayman Legends, is there anything that you want to plug or promote, Jordan?
I was actually talking to Robert about this before. I might get back into my Let's Play channel, which is the Sage Temple. I never played the Persona games before, and like about a year ago, I was like, let's do that starting with 1. So I found out what's the best version of 1. That's for the PSP. I went and beat that, and then I did 1 episode of Persona 2 before I moved over to Valkyria Chronicles 3, and then the winter months came, and I just dropped off, and I'm like, I should go back and finish those games.
Oh, nice,
So,
nice. Are you on
Sage
Twitch?
Temple on YouTube or
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay, Sage Temple on YouTube,
yeah.
and then are you on Twitch?
I not really.
Okay.
Like, it seems my setup can only like stream or record, and I'm like, let's just record. So.
Nice. Okay, and Robert, remind me again, you're on Twitch.
I am on Twitch, and a little update since the last time I was here back in 2017, I think. It's been a while. I am now a Twitch affiliate, so come on, hang out with your boy while I play a newer Persona game, more than likely probably Persona 5 or 4.
Oh, congrats.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, twitch.tv/Mr.MR_Hawks, HOX182.
Awesome.
Come hang out. I've finally got emotes that took forever for those to get approved, but hey, they're here now.
Nice. But if you want to be part of an episode of the PlayStation Plus Game Club, just like Robert and Jordan here, you can send us an email at psplusgameclub@gmail.com with game suggestions or thoughts you have about our monthly featured game. And speaking of that, let's get back to it. The game we picked this month is Rayman Legends. Talking about Rayman Legends, it's really hard to describe as far as like in terms of like how it plays, but like it's a lot like Mario Brothers with the, like a side-scrolling platformer where you run from left to right most of the time, you punch guys, jump on their heads, whatever, and rescue like fairies that have been trapped in cages or are being tied up, held captive. How would you describe the art style, though? Like that, the gameplay style is pretty straightforward and simple, but the art style, I feel like, is what really makes it special. Robert, but like, what would you call the art style?
I mean, I think we kind of talked about this a little bit before the show, but it's very it's gonna sound like a cop out. It's cartoony,
Yeah,
and it is an animated game. But when I say cartoony, not just, it's not like a realistic looking game. Like it looks like you're playing a cartoon.
yeah, yeah,
Just all of the animations, the characters, the backgrounds, everything like that is like I'm playing a Saturday morning cartoon set in this universe.
yeah, yeah,
I have it up on my TV right now while we're talking. Just kind of switching through some of the characters and even just the little animations as you're running and let's see, what's this one? Gothic Teensy. So there's a bunch of different heroes. One of them is a Teensy, which is the little fairies that you save, and you start running as this one, and he just starts doing a Naruto run. Or Naruto. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't watch anime, you nerd. But it's not the same animation for Rayman. Rayman runs differently. The princesses that you save run differently, and they all look different.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a great looking game.
It really is. I feel like how I would describe it is that like maybe someone told Guillermo del Toro and Tim Burton to both make a Saturday morning cartoon for Nickelodeon, and then someone else said, let's make a video game based on that. It's weird, funny, and beautiful, and I don't know of those three adjectives which one of those is the most dominant. Like it's very weird looking. It made me laugh out loud so many times, and it also made me stop and just stare at the screen and not move Raymond at all, just so I could take in the surroundings that were on screen at the time.
Almost reminds me. Sorry, I'm kind of looking at it more. It almost reminds me if if Double Fine made a platformer.
Yes.
Makers of Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like Tim Burton-esque style of the world.
Yeah. Where like there's like weird proportions to everything, and some creatures have eyes that just shouldn't be in certain places. It just looks ridiculous at some points too. Jordan, like, how would you describe it?
Yeah, definitely a cartoonish video game. I would also say it's very busy. Like the backgrounds and the foregrounds, there is a ton of just detail in this game.
Yeah.
They kind of did the same for Origins as well. Like, we should have said this is a sequel technically. Rayman Origins came out a few years before this, and both games look phenomenal. They both are in the same style. Origins, so its palette is a little bit darker. This one's a bit more brighter.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on there, where like Origins kind of felt like it was right in the middle of that trend where all video games were either like dark gray or brown of some form. And Rayman like Legends really just spices it up with a lot more colors.
Yes.
So, and then like getting into the gameplay, I do feel like it is easy to understand, but very hard to master. And it feels like Robert, you described it as like feeling very tight and very perfected. I feel like this game rewards you for going fast, taking risks, and the margin for like getting through those very tight spaces is very small sometimes. And there are a lot of times where like I screwed up and I would try over and over and over just for one time to get through something, and getting through it felt so rewarding.
Completely agree. I was playing one of the levels again earlier today. It was like an underwater level that I'd forgotten about. And there were these kind of enemies in there shining off light, and just having to swim through and not get hit by the light and use like the garbage in the water essentially to kind of swim into the shadows. So you're like going away from the light. It's weird to explain it, and I'm using my hands even though it's an audio podcast. But it having to like stop and be like, okay, where is this gonna go? It's doing this. Okay, let me go here. Wait a sec, go here. It has a lot of that stuff in the game, which is great. You have to stop and look to figure out the pattern, but it's nothing that's like it's nothing crazy. You look at it and you're like, okay, I can figure this out. You try it, maybe you fail it once or twice, and then you figure it out and you're like, hell yeah, and you go to the next part, and then I die. That's usually what happens.
Yeah,
Usually what happens.
That's a really good way to describe it. And you mentioned pattern recognition. I feel like that is the most prevalent in the boss battles, which are like some of the best parts of the game. Not just because of like how they play, but because of how they look too. And the getting back to the art style, like looking at some of these bosses just made me laugh really hard, and like how they're animated. And the sounds they make. Like I'm particularly thinking of the Mockingbird, where he's this giant balloon-shaped bird, and he flies very slowly, but he takes up a lot of the screen, and you just have to avoid him somehow. And when he flies at you and like swoops down, he makes this calling sound that does not match his size. And it made me laugh really hard the first time I saw it, and made my wife laugh too. So, it is a very entertaining game to just look at and watch.
Oh yeah. And with the gameplay, like I'd say it's best with the speed. Like this game is clearly meant to like speed run at certain points, and when it hits, there is a flow to this game. When you are bouncing off enemies, it's really satisfying.
Yeah.
You just fly across the screen.
Yeah, we'll talk about the challenge levels later and the music levels, but going through those makes it feel like you're playing a musical instrument, where you have to time everything perfectly to make it look like you are like a super professional at this game, or sometimes just survive the level itself.
Oh yeah, because there's a rhythm in certain parts that you kind of have to hit.
Absolutely. And then like there's also some of those levels have Murphy in them, who is like a playable character in some forms, but it'd be good to explain who Murphy is. So the way the game is set up is that you and up to 3 friends can play together in this game and run through these levels. I don't feel like they really change all that much when you have multiple people playing them all together. And it feels like it was meant to be just a single player platformer game, but they have that option of having multiple people to play with. And then there is a 5th character that you can play as, named Murphy. And I can tell that like this game was originally designed for the Wii U, where Murphy was going to be this character that someone could play with the tablet on Wii and use the touch screen to use Murphy to move traps and clear clutter out of the way of the screen so the other player could get through. It was really kind of like this partner kind of style game. And going through it on PlayStation, it's just a single button press and the computer controls Murphy himself. But you can see that's where like the Wii U design was going into it before it got put on all these other platforms. Those levels especially made it feel like I was having to play this instrument and really get the timing down, because Murphy was involved, and you had to have that added element in not just the platforming, but you also had to keep in mind how you were going to control the level itself. And that was a really cool, innovative way to spice up the platforming in a platform game.
Yeah, I actually have a love-hate relationship with that mechanic, because when it works, it's super cool. And when it doesn't work, it's frustrating, especially when you're running and you need to use him.
Yeah.
Is Murphy the little thing that you press the button and it like cuts ropes and all that stuff? Is that the name of that thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he's like this other odd looking fairy. He doesn't look like the Teensies. He looks like some other fairy, but like he floats up near the rope that he's going to cut, or like the trap that he's going to move out of the way, whatever. And he just like waves at you and shouts hello. And he's not as annoying as Navi from Ocarina of Time, but still, it's one of those things where it's like, stop, like just give me a second to catch up and get in place. And sometimes he just won't shut up, and he's waiting for you to signal to move or whatever. But he is like the character that the computer controls when you press the circle button, and it moves, the spike block out of the way or whatever.
Yeah, I had a couple times where I was running, and I think what was it? Like I had to run and slide down a ramp and then jump in the air, and there was an enemy right there as you landed.
Yeah.
And you had to time it so you like get in the air, and then you press the button to get Murphy to like hit the enemy so you can get through it.
Yeah.
And then he was just like on the other side of the screen watching me like an asshole.
Just taunting you there, like, haha, you didn't make it.
Like, try it now, bitch. No, you can't do it, can you?
1 century. 1 entire century of yawning and snoring wildly. It seems that the heroes of the Glade of Dreams are under the effect of a mysterious snoozing power. Well, my little ones just needed to take a big nap. Meanwhile, the nightmares multiplied. They spread. They generated new demons, even more terrifying than before. The Glade of Dreams is in danger, my friend. Go. Quickly wake up our legendary heroes.
Of the standard levels that are in just the base game, what are some of your favorites? Here's a reminder, like the 5 worlds are, the level 1 is Teensies in Trouble. That one is like a castle forest theme. There's a lot of like collapsing rocks or like rocks that are like crushing together, and you have to time your runs through them. Level 2 is Toad Story, which is that has a lot of aerial gliding sections to it. And then level 3 is Fiesta de los Muertos. That is a food themed level where there are a lot of cakes and Mexican foods. Yeah. That one has a big highlight to Murphy, as there's a lot of swinging and swiping that has to be done by the character. There's like a cake level where he actually just chews through the cake. You have to run through it before it fills in.
That particular level, I actually really did like, because it was partly problem solving, which you don't do a whole lot in this game, but you kind of have to time it. His like eating the cake and it refilling, and that was kind of oddly satisfying.
Yeah. So then level 4 was 20,000 Lums Under the Sea. That is a water themed. That is a water themed level, but it's not always underwater. And level 5 was Olympus Maximus, where it starts out with like a Greek theme and then turns into a bunch of lava stages, and there are swarms of those small like bug-like creatures that are like chasing you, and you have to outrun them. Those are the 5. And I think, Robert, you mentioned earlier the water level and like dodging lights and stuff. I think that was some of my favorites. And I like, generally people say that like they hate water levels. I loved this one, and it felt really good to swim. He doesn't swim that slow, so that's one thing. And then like dodging the light and stuff was really cool.
Yeah, the swimming in this game was not as like annoying. It was less of like an underwater level that you see in other games. Like, I think what's the biggest one in Zelda, is that Ocarina of Time?
The water temple,
or Majora's Mask at the water temple that everybody hates. It wasn't anything like that. Like you go underwater and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm not like sinking. I don't have to constantly be moving. I don't have to constantly be like, trying to go up for air. It's just, okay, cool, I'm floating. Yeah. Awesome. This is really easy to actually control.
Yeah, he just moves without gravity.
They did a great job with that. Yeah. It's just like, awesome, you're floating in air, but you pretend it's water.
Yeah.
I like how he'll when you hold down the run button and then you use attack underwater, he twirls himself like in propeller motion and gives you a little bit of a boost.
Yeah.
Just a really cool detail I really love about the underwater levels.
Yeah, I love that too. And then one other thing is every once in a while there'll be like these spiky fish that just hang out in the water, and they kind of look like a blowfish but shrunken down. So they're still very round and spiky, but they're just really small. Except their eyes are giant, and the eyes have very small pupils, so they look like Simpsons style eyes, and they just track you as you move around. But the rest of the fish doesn't move at all, and so they look very worried as you swim by. And if you accidentally bump into them, you lose a heart, or you lose your life, and you have to go back to the checkpoint. But just watching them again made me giggle a little bit. So that's another reason I loved the water level. However, there are a couple of parts of that water stage where you have to like do some sneaking through like an underwater base, and there's like lights that you have to avoid and lasers that are moving around. I felt like this was a big missed opportunity for a Splinter Cell reference, and I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It felt very James Bondy to me, so I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And that level in particular, there's a few parts. It feels like an obstacle course, and I just love that feeling.
Yeah, that was one thing that I really loved about it, was just having to run through the stage and figure out like, okay, I'm gonna have to jump up on the wall here and then bounce to the other wall over there, and do that in time while the laser is moving, so it doesn't I don't pass through it. And then you have to like jump to a rope and swing over another laser, but you can take a risk and jump down and dodge more lasers to get either another like teensy that's been trapped, or a coin, or maybe some extra lums, which are the equivalent of coins from like Mario Brothers, where there are hundreds of them scattered around a level, and you just try and collect as much as you can for a high score at the end.
Yeah. Well, actually, there is a reason why you should collect them other than the high score. At the end of the level, it kind of differs from level to level, but like the most it'll ask of you is collect 600, and if you get like 550 of those, you get a scratch card.
Right.
And
yeah.
One of the importance of those is you use the touchpad on the PS4, and then I imagine on the Wii U the pad, but I think other than that you might just probably a button or something. But when you scratch it, you get a choice, or you get a chance of certain things, and one of them is like you unlock levels from Rayman Origins, and that's very interesting.
Yeah. I love that they threw in a bunch of levels from Rayman Origins here for you to jump back into, because if you didn't play Rayman Origins, no problem. You can just like go play these other unlockable levels, and they aren't like, they didn't throw all of the levels from Origins in here. It's just like the best levels that they could collect into the unlockables here. But
there's still a lot.
There are a ton.
Like 60? I could be wrong, but
so
that's still a lot.
There are 5 sets, for like the 5 corresponding levels, and there are 8 in each. And that would be
so
40 additional levels, and they're all really good.
They picked the best of the best of Origins.
Yeah. Robert, did you have any like favorite levels to call out?
Yeah, I did. I actually got unlocked the first Origins level, Geyser Blast, and that was like a new mechanic, at least for when I played the level, and I liked that one. That was really fun. To like get with the geysers and be like, oh, okay. And then once again, it's like I can go this way, or if I jump down this other way, then I can go unlock more of the like get more looms or unlock more of the teensies.
Yeah.
That the Origins level was good. And then that underwater level, what was the name of it? Yeah, the Mysterious Inflatable Island.
That one.
That's what it's called. And I jumped in the water and I started going one way, and I was like, I can't move. What's happening?
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, do I have to go underwater? I do. Okay, cool. I have to
Yeah.
go underwater.
I think it's like the one stage right before the boss stage. You have to swim from a giant sea creature that's chasing you, and I thought that was really fun and really cool.
Yeah, that was another highlight of mine. There was one another love-hate relationship called the Maze in the
Oh yes,
in the Olympia level.
yeah,
And there's a harder version. Most of these levels have a harder version where you run through most of the level. I couldn't beat the harder version of that.
yeah. So you're talking about the invasion levels, and
Yes.
every time you finish the stage, if you've performed well enough, it unlocks the invasion version, and that's where just the swarm comes after you, and you have to run from it. At least most of the time. I think there are a few times where like it's just a wall of fire that's chasing you, but most of the time it is the swarm that's chasing you, and you have to run through the level as fast as you can to beat it. The swarm originally just shows up at like halfway through level 5, but imagine just trying to play every level where you're being chased by a ton of black bugs that are like going to just pile over you. So that was one of those where like I haven't played this game in like 7 years. I jumped back into the invasion levels, tried them like 2 or 3 times, and was like, nope, this isn't for me. No.
Some of them are really fun, but
Yeah.
some are like so precise, like you need to be perfection, and it's a little too stressful.
Okay, so we've covered a few base levels, but are there any bosses that you'd love to really highlight that were very memorable?
I'll be honest. Any non-wrestling game that has a luchador boss or luchador character, I love.
I loved that guy too.
Yeah, the luchador was probably the most fun for me. Probably the most interesting one was the last boss for me, the one where you're just fighting this mass of bugs that are just a collection.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you're mostly flying through that level too. And we should mention, like, in all the boss levels, they give you a power up, which is very rare in the game.
Yeah.
And you fly your fisting projectiles at the boss at certain points.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like it becomes a side scrolling shooter where you just have to line up your shot and shoot your fist, which is now a gun. You have to shoot it as much as you can at the boss. And for that one particular boss that you mentioned, the Hades hand, you have to wipe out all parts of it, and it is made up of the swarm. So you might like get 90% of it, and then there's just like 1 or 2 bugs that are flying up in the corner of like the hand, or like whatever shape it's in. So let's say it's like it is that hand, but like there's a few bugs left in the pinky that you just have to hit. And I had a hell of a time just getting those last few hits in.
Yeah. It's a very stressful level because you are flying. It's more like you're floating. You got to hold down the X button to go in helicopter mode the entire time.
Yeah.
But you got to swerve around, and you got to let go of that, and you'll slowly drift down, and you can't hit the bottom of the screen, otherwise you're dead.
Right.
It's a huge balancing routine.
One other boss I found very memorable was the of level 2 was Toad Story, and the boss is a giant flying armored toad, and he wasn't particularly difficult, but he just made me laugh really hard because of his animation. Like going back to the animation, like that's what really makes this game special. But there's also one other thing that I think makes this game immensely special, and those are the music levels. And once you beat a boss of a level, you unlock the music stage, and they are covers of somewhat famous songs, or they're original songs by the composer of the game. His name is Christoph Herral, and the music is very recognizable. And so immediately, if you start playing a level, you'll probably recognize the track that they're covering. But it's a cartoon, so it is very silly to see them cover something that is somewhat famous. Do you guys have any favorite music tracks or music levels that stand out?
It was like I think it is the first one, and it's their version of like Whoa Black Betty.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that at all. So you're like running through and you hear the music, and then you hear like the quote unquote vocals. So like the, kind of like if you're playing a Sims game and there's a Sims version of the song, it's like the music and then it's just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I heard that going and I was like, wait a minute. But it took me a second in my head to realize, whoa, Black Betty. And I was like, oh, shit, that's awesome. That's cool as hell.
I'll tell you, the first time I saw that, like, I didn't want to stop to laugh, but I had a huge smile on my face the first time I heard it. Because, and like, I knew I'd never forget it. So every once in a while now, even though I haven't played the game in like 7 years, every once in a while I pull it up on YouTube and just watch that particular level because I love the way it sounds and looks together. And that was probably, like, I have a hard time deciding on what a favorite one is. But Jordan, do you have one as well?
I think my favorite is the Mexican version of Eye of the Tiger.
Oh my God, yes. Okay, so that's the other one where I can't really decide between the two.
Yeah, I think Black Betty might be my second favorite, but it's really cool and really funny at the same time to hear a just luchador version of Eye of the Tiger. And this game's also a little bit stuck in time because another song that really sticks out, but I feel like you had to be there. Like, there are going to be 20-year-olds who listen to this podcast and be like, what song is he talking about?
Yeah.
But the do.
Yeah. The song is Woohoo by the 567-8s, and it's from the Kill Bill soundtrack. I
remember it more from the commercial. Was it an Apple commercial? It was on some commercial way.
Oh, I don't know.
It was on a lot.
And I will definitely have to throw in for some of the music breaks, those music levels, because they really just have to be heard to be believed. But also there's the fifth one that we haven't called out is it is a cover of Antisocial by the band Trust, which I had never heard of until I played this game, looked it up, and it's like an 80s metal band. And like I don't know like why they went with something that obscure for these, because all the other ones are pretty recognizable. But
to be fair, they are French.
And then there's like the original ones are the level 2 music track, which is just an original track by Christoph Hurl, the game's music director. Then there's a sixth sort of like level division, which is just like the bonus levels called Rock of the Dead or something? But like
I actually had the original version of that from Rayman Origins as my ringtone for the longest
really?
time. I loved the levels that was based on in Rayman Origins. Oh man, they were so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. So then there's the bonus levels, and that has a sixth audio track, which is Granny's World Tour. That's another original, but I would swear that is a cover of something that I try to recognize, and it rocks. I loved that one. That's like a third first place tie for my favorites. But then that bonus level also has 8-bit versions of all of the music tracks. And I have a hard time deciding what I like more, the 8-bit versions of Black Betty or the cartoon version. Same with like the 8-bit version of Eye of the Tiger or the Luchador cartoon version. And even last night, I was like, let's load all of them up. And I played through all of them back to back and still can't decide what I loved most.
I could only finish one of them. At first, I was like, "This is just a replay with a weird U on it." When you get to those levels,
Yeah, yeah. So what they do is like the 8-bit versions are those same music levels that you play over again, but they add some weird distortion filter to them, and they become a lot harder to play. And you were going to talk about like the first one, the cover of Black Betty, is just like a rotoscope lens on it where it just distorts the proportions of the screen. But the second one you were going to mention is the 8-bit cover of Orchestral Chaos. And that one, like the like
Sorry.
yeah, like what happens, like the screen gets staticky the more you play through it, because like let's say like pretend that you were playing this on like an old TV and the sound from the game you were playing started to freak out the screen and cause it to go really staticky. So like every time there's a thunderclap or a loud cymbal crash, the screen gets really staticky for just like a half second. And in that half second, you have to land a jump. And like that was one of those distortion effects where it's like, I don't know if I can finish this, because after a while you have to just start playing it blind almost.
yes, because there's one part
Also
it's
memory.
more than half a second. I'm sorry, Robert, but just like there's one part where it's like you have to do 3 jumps completely blind,
Yeah,
and I couldn't pass it.
it's ridiculous. And then if you go through like level 3, that distortion is that it gets more and more pixelated. And so you really have to pay attention to what you're looking at and read it carefully. And then the same thing happens with the later stages. And then there's an 8-bit cover of that 6th unlockable track, or that 6th unlockable song. And that one is a stage where they throw in all of the distortion effects. And you have to just adapt to each one as it shows up. And then there's like another added distortion effect where they divide the screen into 4 and repeat what's on screen. So then you kind of have to figure out where your eyes are going to track as you're playing. And then it switches back all to 1. Did you end up trying that?
I couldn't make it that far.
Okay, yeah. Robert, did you make it that far?
Oh, not even close.
Oh, okay.
No.
I'm gonna make it sound even worse though, because you're playing through the cover of what's the song's name, Granny's World Tour, and you'll see the rotoscope effect. Then it'll change back to normal. Then it'll get staticky. It'll change back to normal. Sometimes the screen will flip upside down. You just have to keep pressing right and hope you're gonna keep running and timing it right. Sometimes, like, the screen doesn't divide into 4, it divides into 9. And then you have to keep paying attention. And then it divides further and further. And as you get closer and closer to the end, the screens get smaller and smaller and smaller. Getting through it feels like a hell of an accomplishment.
I would imagine you're putting that on your resume now, right?
Yes.
I beat Rayman Legends.
Finished Granny's World Tour, 8-bit version.
And then just put like a YouTube link on there. Be completely honest,
Yeah.
because you were talking about that 8-bit level, I looked that up on YouTube and just watched somebody play through it. What the actual fuck is that?
Where the screen divides up all the way, like, yes, that.
It's like every time you jump or you hit something, it changes to one of the other things. Like,
Yeah.
bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo, Satan.
Only
Good job.
doing that once, but like
Fucking
going back,
great
like,
at making games.
it feels like you're playing a musical instrument at some point because you have to get this perfect, and the music is just playing along with you.
Jesus Christ! What? Oh my! What did I see?
So, what about the origins levels? Those are all unlockables as you said, Jordan. Like, you're going through and getting these tickets that you can scratch off, and you're awarded an occasional new level to play. But it's one of the old levels. Do you have any favorites from that set?
I didn't get to play too many of them. Sadly, I was too busy focused on the main game.
Yeah.
But Going back to that first one, it reminded me playing Rayman Origins the first time, and that first level, there's a water stream you ride on a lot, and when I first played Origins, I was like, wow, this game has a lot of flow to it.
Yeah.
Like that scene in Tarzan when he's like, his feet are kind of surfing the vines and whatnot.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you mean like the part in Kingdom Hearts where you're in the Tarzan world and you're sliding down the
We don't
vines.
talk about that disappointing level.
Deep jungle.
But that's what that reminded me of, and I think I had a re-look at some other levels just to get reminded, but I think the level design, for the most part, in Origins is a little bit tighter and a little bit more satisfying.
Yeah. As much as we were saying that like the colors are a bit muted in those, they still have a great theme to go with them. There's like and I've listed out those levels too. There's Gibberish Jungle, Desert of Didgeridoos, Gourmand Land, Sea of Serendipity, and then Mystical Peak. And peak is spelled Piquue, as in like you've piqued my interest. So it's strange also how like it feels a little bit like they've rehashed the themes in Rayman Legends compared to what the themes are in all of the unlockable levels. But I don't remember if they were all grouped together like this in Rayman Origins. So like it's fun to play these again, but at the same time it does feel like they just kind of redid these in Legends. And yeah, they have added like teensies into these Origins levels to make them feel like they've been updated for Rayman Legends. When you play through these Origins levels, you'll see a goblin like beating on a teensy that you have to go rescue. By the way, that was another point that made me laugh really hard because he just won't stop slamming this guy's head into the ground until you kick him in the face. But the Gibberish Jungle, the Desert of Didgeridoos, those two felt like those levels could just be inserted somewhere into Rayman Legends and you wouldn't really notice they were, out from a different stage or a different game. However, when you get to Gourmand Land, there are ice levels that didn't show up in Rayman Legends. And those have like, you have to like slide around on the ice a lot. There's a lot of like frozen fruit locked in the ice, which is, kind of hilarious. And then you get to like the fire levels of that group. And there are like fire breathing dragons that have chef's hats on because they're chefs in this kitchen level that you're traversing. And there's like, hot peppers that you can swing from. Some hot peppers are just lounging around, but they're spewing fire streams of like lava, and you have to dodge those. So like the style again, coming from Rayman Origins has been there. So it's not something new, but I feel like this is a style that they perfected in Rayman Legends. One of the ones that really sticks out is one of those that is like a side-scrolling shooter, and there are a lot of these in the Origins levels that you can unlock. But how it starts is you start the level and take Rayman and have him jump on a mosquito and ride the mosquito through an aerial fight that is a side-scrolling shooter like R-Type, and you have to shoot down birds or flies, whatever, and make it to the end and make it through a bunch of traps and hazards. And then like one of them has like a large bird that you have to fight halfway through that again made me laugh pretty hard. But these weren't really present in Rayman Legends aside from the unlockable Origins levels. Did you guys get to play any of those?
Yeah, the mosquito level, jumping on that, I think is like the second level of Origins that I remember. Right. They had these shooters in Origins. I forgot all about that. But they're not nearly as hard as like R-Type or anything. They're way more simple than that.
Yeah.
Also, the mosquito you fight is actually a boss from 1.
Oh, really?
You ride... Yeah, it's way back in the first game. I think it was like the first boss or something.
Okay.
So that was a kind of a cool callback.
Yeah.
What about you, Robert?
Honestly, I was only able to get one Origins level
Okay.
because they're like kind of luck of the draw with the scratches. I got a bunch of heroes,
Yeah.
but I only got one of the Origins levels,
and
and it was just that first one. So
yeah. What's also
and
great.
honestly, this was my first, unless it was way in the past or something like it was my first Rayman game that I've played. If I played Origins, it was a long time ago, and it was not for a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't really have that that frame of reference to be like, oh yeah, this is what it was like in this game compared to this one.
Yeah. And the Origins game is harder than this one, I feel like. So one other type of level that you can unlock in the Origins section is the treasure chest chase, where you have to.
Love those.
Oh, I love those too, and I love the music that goes with it too, because it again sounds very silly, but the chase is something that a lot like those music levels where you just have to get it perfectly, and if you don't, you have to start the whole thing over. And in Origins, like there are like 10 treasure chest levels, and I could only finish maybe like 4 or 5 of them, and they get incredibly hard. And when you eventually like finish all of them, like when you finish one, inside the chest is a tooth that you have to get and take back to this guy and give to him, and he just inserts it into his mouth. And once you've gotten all this guy's teeth back, you eventually unlock the final boss of Rayman Origins, which I never got to play, but I looked it up on YouTube, and it's hilarious looking. Thankfully, that boss is in Rayman Legends, and you get to fight her as the final unlockable stage in Mystical Peak. And she's called the Mother of All Nightmares. I fought her last night, just because I've been replaying all the levels in the Origins levels, and I was sitting there playing it, and the first time I got to her, my wife just looked at her and just goes, "Oh my God." And it's very hard to describe her. So she's what looks like this giant creature that is painting her nails and humming while she's sitting in a bath of lava. And she's got like 20 eyes on her head. They're just in like this massive pile of eyes on her head. And she's painting her nails. She's got spikes all over her body. And except for like her forearms that you can walk on. And when you fly out and land on her forearm, all of her eyes look down at you, and she screams like there's a spider on her arm, and that's how you start the fight. Also, I realized, like, as I was playing, like, oh, like behind her, there's just this massive tentacles too. So she's like this tentacled kraken monster that's just hanging out in a bed of lava, giving herself a manicure. So, you end up like jumping around, hitting a weak spot somewhere on her arm, and then you have to jump up on her head and start punching her eyes, which start flying off her head. And eventually, like, you punch all of her eyes off of her head. And when I started doing that, my wife just goes, "This is really fucked up." I just like had to keep laughing at what I was fighting. But, it is a sight to behold. So if you have the chance, go look up Rayman Legends, Mother of All Nightmares. I couldn't believe how ridiculous this boss looked. But again, it was one of my more favorite bosses to fight, because when you land on her forearm, she starts to move her arm around, and her spiked bracelet starts to slide left and right. You have to jump over it, and then you have to like dodge under another piece of jewelry or her spiked elbow or whatever. And it is an incredible sense of scale for a platformer, and also something incredibly ugly, but you just have to see it.
It is. Yeah, I quickly Googled search it, and then I saw the picture, and it all came flooding back. And it's a very satisfying boss fight, but it is a very Ren and Stimpy-esque design.
That's it. Yeah, that is the best way to describe it. Nickelodeon's Ren and Stimpy in game form.
I don't think that all of the eyes on that character's head are functional. I feel like maybe none of them are, because you just punch them and they fall off like they're in a pile.
Oh, they're totally cosmetic. Is that?
Yeah, completely cosmetic while she's painting her nails.
Yeah.
Trying to look pretty. And then you just knock her eyes off. You know what, Rayman? You're an asshole. Trying to get ready for a date.
You guys know the video game story of Origins? It's hilarious. Have you ever seen it?
I remember the trailer, and I think that is the opening cutscene of the game. But isn't Rayman just hanging out in a tree somewhere, asleep and snoring, and that's bothering somebody? Like, is that how it starts?
They're chilling so hard that they're disturbing the dead. And the dead wake up and literally said, "Nah, man, that's enough of that."
So this is Rayman's version of Beowulf, is that it?
Yeah. that beginning of Origins is just so funny. You should go on YouTube sometime and look it up for yourself.
So another part of the game are the daily, weekly, and monthly challenges. And those are randomly generated levels where you have to, you jump into this level and it has a task for you to either run a certain distance through a stage or run as far as you can through a stage, collect so many lums, or run through a stage as fast as you can. Did you guys get to try any of the challenges, like the daily or weekly challenges?
Yeah, I went in today and checked out the daily challenge, and it was run 250 meters.
Yeah.
And it's actually I was expecting it to be like way worse than it was in a way, and I don't really know why. But like I ran through it, died a couple times. I got to the end, and I was like, "Oh, so it's just like it just goes to the 250 meters, and you just have to kind of figure this out." So then I just went through it a couple more times, being like, "Maybe I can shave off half a second or a couple seconds here." And
yeah,
I finally got to a score that I was like, "That's good." And then I looked at the high score of the leaderboard, and number one was like 10 seconds faster. I was like, "I don't know." It was perfect. I don't know what these other people are doing.
And I feel like this is where like you can like go up against other people in the world, and this is where the like the fault of this kind of multiplayer breaks down, where I'm pretty sure that a lot of this is being done with a tool assist, and you aren't really playing against people that have been able to run this stage or collect this many lums in like 5 seconds. And literally, I did see one challenge that was completed by somebody in 5 seconds, and it's like, no way, you did not, get through 200 meters in that pit, in just 5 seconds, like without any sort of help from a computer. So, they are like, someone out there is cheating these levels, but they're still really fun to run. And I did a few times, like, try and make it as far as I could in some of those endless challenges where, like, you just say, like, well, how far can you get through Murphy's dungeon? And you ride through this dungeon with Murphy helping you get through these traps. And I made it through to like 700 meters and felt pretty good. And then got up to the silver tier and looked at the gold tier, and it was like 2,000. I was like, no way. No. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I remember, I didn't do it this time, but I tried it the first time going out, and I remember I had the exact same problem, so I didn't even try this time. I do remember them vividly, because they're very short, sweet, and then when you see that people do these ridiculous numbers, you're like, okay, bye.
Yeah, and I feel like that is where this system is a little bit broken. It's still fun to play with, but you have to like go in knowing that you're never going to reach like the gold or the diamond tier. You just have to, go in for fun and see how far you can get.
Yeah. And since this game's like 10 years old and that part needs the internet, I'm surprised that part's still available, actually.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad to see it's still running, and it's fun to try.
Yeah. I mean, you should at least try it and see what it's about, but you ain't going to get gold.
Yeah. When I looked at it today, it was like 4,700 people have already done it today, and I was like, that's not a bad number for a game that's, I say old, but relatively it's still a fairly, I guess, modern game. But
yeah, well, for a game that's turning 10 years old this year, that's great.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, and one thing I did like about it a lot that I noticed, like, I don't know if it was on the first time that I started running through it, or if it like was like kind of a base thing or whatever. But you had like ghosts of a few other players.
Yeah. That
you were able to kind of see on screen. It was like, oh, okay, cool. So I can see what this person, did here, and they were ahead of me or they're behind me, and you kind of have that visual of something that you can race against, and you can see what they're doing exactly.
Mm-hmm.
To be like, oh, okay, well, I jumped maybe half a second too late, and this person, like this character, got ahead of me. Maybe let's try this next time. That was really cool for the challenge level. Yeah,
there are also spots where, like in the endless ones, where you can see where someone ended their run, like where they hit a thorn in a vine or whatever, like, which is a lot like Mario Maker, where you're running through a level and you can see where other people have died trying to beat that level. That's one thing that I really love about this. The challenge mode is that you can pass those points and feel like you're beating somebody else, which is a good sense of accomplishment there.
If this game came out now, and it was top of the pops, as the kids say, I feel like that could be a really, really good like gaming scene, like esports type thing.
Yeah.
Especially like you get a group of friends together that are all loving this game, and you're like, okay, today's is this is my time, and then you can actually just see against your friends.
Yeah.
Or see against like a group of people. But
you have a party.
I don't know if that sort of kind of mindset was around when it first came out. 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I do feel like this kind of thing was pretty novel when it came out back in 2013. It was very new for the time and was pretty innovative, and something I really liked playing. Okay, so one thing that I do like to ask is, for someone that hasn't played Rayman Legends, how would you rate it in terms of putting time or an investment into it? Would you say, well, I'll start with you, Robert, like, would you say, don't bother, it's not really worth your time, or try it if you have PS Plus or you find it on sale, or you say, like, I really should have paid a lot of money for this. It's that good. What would you say?
I mean, I'd definitely say try it if you got PS Plus. It's also on full disclosure here, and you're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me. I've been playing on an Xbox Game Pass.
And that's a great deal too, yeah.
Yeah. Best deal in gaming, some people say, but yeah, it's so like Game Pass, PS Plus, or if it's on sale. This isn't a game, for me at least. This wasn't a game where I'm like, oh, cool, I beat a couple levels. Let me get to like the end of this area or whatever, and I want to get to the end of the game. This is a platformer. The levels can be fairly short, a few minutes. So this is easily a game that you can kind of jump onto, do a few levels. Maybe you're playing for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you're like, cool. You know what? I'm getting maybe a little bored of it right now. Let me go play something else, and then you can jump back into it. There's not a giant barrier of entry here. It's a platformer.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one to kind of keep in the library. If you've got PS Plus, Game Pass, whatever, you can have it downloaded and then jump in when you just want some I wouldn't say mindless fun, because there's a lot of it can be a difficult platformer, but it's not a game that's going to take over your life like like an RPG or something where you're like, oh, I need to get to the next story beat, so I've got to do this, and I need to go grind these levels and do this. No, it's jump in, run forward, jump, hit things, cool.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a lot like how we talked about Tetris Effect last month, like with Jordan. Like, this is the kind of game that it's great to keep in your on your hard drive. So then, like, if you just kind of want to revisit it for 10 minutes, it's really easy to jump into and just like play something that really well and you're familiar with to get that nostalgia and that comfort food hit. This is a great comfort food kind of game where you can just spend a few minutes with it to put yourself in a good mood.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally, I've got that on on the Xbox. The Xbox has a function called Quick Resume. You can kind of like suspend a game while you're going to do other things. So in my Quick Resume suspended games, I always have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 on there, like the remake that they did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you're talking about, where I'm like, oh, I mean, do I want to play a game? Like, what do I want to do? And while I'm just kind of thinking of something to do, I jump in there and it just loads up like in the middle of whatever the hell level I was skating in last. And it's just like muscle memory takes over with the controller, and I'm just going to do tricks. And that's exactly what you're talking about with this, where it's that dopamine hit of this is just comfort food as a video game.
Yeah.
Jump into it, do a level or two, and just you can kind of clear your mind of almost anything else and just be like, yeah, this is video games at its most base level, and it's fun.
Yeah, every once in a while I might say like, I really want to go play through Black Betty again, so I'm gonna like load that up and just jump through that level. Jordan, like, what do you think?
Oh yeah, this is definitely worth people's time. I would rate this an 8 out of 10.
I didn't give you that scale. Come on.
Known as a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I know you give me the scale. Likely, this game's on sale a lot for like $10.
Yeah.
Have a PlayStation Plus or Game Pass or anything. If you do have those, just pick up this game. Like, what are you doing? Like,
put it in your library.
Put it in your library. This is also a really great. If you have friends over or you got young kids and you want to play something with them, perfect for those things.
Yeah.
Because it is multiplayer. And we only touched on it just a brief bit, but the multiplayer's pretty decent. It's fun. It's one of those, like, you don't have to worry about the other person sucking at all. If you can carry your people, you can do it just fine.
While you're talking about it's on sale a lot, I just pulled up Steam, and it is currently 80% off on Steam. It is $6.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. Keep an eye on that
Yeah.
if you're interested.
So-
yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on sale on the Switch for 10. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it doesn't go more than 10. I've noticed.
Like full price
Very
technically on
cheap.
Steam is $30, but
Yeah, it's definitely worth everyone's time, especially if you enjoy platformers. If you love Mario, you deserve yourself. You deserve it to yourself to like pick this up.
Yeah.
yeah, if you played Mario when you were a kid, first off, make a doctor's appointment. Just get a checkup. You need it. But also, yeah, Rayman Legends
Yeah.
is just a nostalgia trip for something that you've like I said, this was my first real like Rayman game to play that I really jumped into. But platforming, man, you know what I mean? Like I've been gaming my whole life. I'm about 87 years old now, and I feel it at least.
Yeah.
And it's a platformer, and it's the base form of video game. Run, jump, hit, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I should mention if you played the original Rayman for like PlayStation 1 way back in the day, this is not that hard. The original Rayman was infamously hard.
Oh, I YouTubed it and
This
it
one,
looked really
not.
hard. Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't get past certain stages, but it is yeah, this is way easier than that. So if you like have PTSD from like the band level back in the day, you don't have to worry about that here.
Getting to the actual books and more segment of this book club style podcast, playing Rayman Origins made me think of this. What were some of your favorite cartoons growing up? Jordan, I'm going to ask you first. What were some of your favorite cartoons?
Oh man, I was definitely a Ninja Turtles and Batman kid.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
If you really had to like describe this game, it's a cleaner version, like not as gross as Ren and Stimpy or maybe Animaniacs with that rubber hose style.
Yeah. Yeah, rubber hose is
yeah.
a great way to describe it. And like Robert, what about you? Do you have any memorable cartoons that you watched growing up?
Loved the Turtles.
Yeah.
One of my, I also loved reruns, obviously, even though I am, as we've established, 87 years old. Reruns of Where Are You, Scooby-Doo?
Oh yeah,
And even the Scooby-Doo show with Scrappy Doo is one of the worst characters ever created on screens. And I've got fond memories of kind of being over like my grandparents' house. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid and I was sick from school, my parents didn't let me to stay home. I had to go to my grandparents' house, and they just had just like basic stuff. Watched a lot of Wacky Racers. If anybody remembers
Wow.
that show,
What is
that's a callback.
Please tell me
Wacky Racers, cartoon, like it's just like different cartoon characters. I mean, they're all like in the Wacky Racers,
Did you know there was
cinematic universe.
there's an NES game about wacky racers?
Yeah.
And it's not a racer; it's a platformer.
Yeah, I saw that on I think it was like a YouTube video. Sorry, Wacky Races, not Racers.
Races,
but
that's
still,
right.
Yeah, Wacky Races. 23. I'm looking at the Wikipedia now. Cartoon had many regular characters, 23 people and animals spread amongst the 11 cars, and there was just different racers, and there was Dick Dastardly is probably one of the most famous ones with his snickering dog Muttley. Mustache twirling, just the villain from every cartoon, like just into one thing, just a piece of shit. But yeah, Wacky Races. every episode is just there's people trying to win the race, and then there's the bad guys that are trying to like set traps to stop other people, but then obviously it blows up in their face.
Yeah.
But that's a big one for me growing up for some reason, and there's only 17 episodes.
Oh my
of it,
god! Wow.
And it's burned into my brain.
Yeah.
To the point where there's the character Muttley, like a snickering dog, doesn't talk. It just kind of laughs a little bit, just like kind of a wheeze. Yeah. There's a show on now, not a cartoon. It's a live action show called Ted Lasso. If you guys have heard of it, it's on Apple TV Plus. One of
so you like that football?
best shows. Yeah. Oh my god, football fan. But there's a character on Ted Lasso who's just like a grimace character. He's just always angry. And in a recent episode, they're like doing things. I won't go into like what's happening in the episode. It's a funny bit, and it's the first time I think that you hear this character laugh, and he laughs like Muttley from Wacky Races.
Oh no!
So there's stuff happening, and people are like actually laughing, and then the camera just cuts to him, and he's just looking like you're like, that is the most diabolical laugh, and it fits this character. But that came from Wacky Races.
Wow. Yeah. Some of my favorites that I had growing up was like my family didn't have cable, so we just had basic channels, and I don't remember what channel had it, but it was the Disney Afternoon that I would catch every time I came home from school. And
that was ABC.
That was ABC. Okay. And they like some of my favorites from that block, because it was like a 2-hour block of cartoons. My favorites probably were DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, and then Gargoyles, which came out later. But Gargoyles, I thought was just like really cool, and I loved it. And then recently, I didn't get to watch a lot of it when it was coming out, but X-Men is on Disney Plus, and I've been rewatching that cartoon, and it is surprisingly mature for like a cartoon. It goes through some pretty dark themes as far as like addiction and accepting people for who they are. It is surprisingly mature, and I really love it. So
let's not discount that fucking banger of a theme song.
Absolutely, yes.
Jesus.
As far as like other games go, like Jordan, would you recommend anyone check out the other Rayman games?
Just Origins.
Okay.
I hear the second one is a 2D platformer. I hear it's something of a hidden gem. Do not pick up the original OG Rayman at all. Just don't.
It's really not worth it. And then there's Rayman 2. I think, was that one a side scroller, or is that a 3D platformer?
3D one.
Okay.
3D platformer.
Yeah,
and
Rayman 2, The Great Escape, first 3D Rayman game.
Yeah. And then Rayman 3 was on PS2 and GameCube. Did you get a chance to play that one? And what did you think of it?
I never did.
Oh, okay. I never got around to that one either. But Origins and Legends are the only two that I've played, and I love both of them. But I do feel like Legends is a lot more approachable. So if you want a challenge, check out Rayman Origins. Is there anything else you're reading or watching or playing that you'd like to recommend?
I played and beaten Dredge. Have either of you two heard of this game yet?
I have heard of it. I kind of want to pick it up because it looks like one of those slow burn horror games.
I've watched a few people playing it on Twitch, so
yeah, it's very relaxful and very stressful at the same time. Given what your previous episodes, was it called Everspace?
Yeah, we did Everspace.
Yeah, Everspace mixed with Manhunter in a way, except you're on the boat. It's like that. If it does come to PlayStation Plus, I'm pretty sure you're going to make an episode about it.
Okay.
It is less than 20 hours, and it is so satisfying.
Okay. Yeah, I really do want to check it out. So I'll have to see if I can find that one. But yeah, if it comes to PlayStation Plus, I will most definitely try it. And I don't know, maybe we should have you on a future episode if it does.
Yeah.
Robert, anything you want to recommend?
Kevin, I feel like a broken record. I've been on a couple episodes,
Let me guess. It starts with the letter P.
and it ends with the number 5.
Yes, Persona 5.
I'm playing Persona 5, the original Persona 5, not Persona 5 Royal. The original Persona 5 is on. I don't know if it's on PlayStation Plus. I have it on PlayStation. I think it was one of the games that they gave you one month.
Yeah, it was.
Or it's in that PS Plus like collection for like new PlayStation 5 players or whatever.
Yeah,
it was one of those two.
It is part of the collection, and by the time,
which is going away soon.
Yeah, by the time I release this episode, it'll be gone. But it's still a really good game to check out.
But like I actually saw an IGN article the other day it talked about like the top 10 longest single player games, and number 1 was Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah,
and I was like, cool. I've played through that thing 3 times now since October. What the fuck does it say about me? But no, I started playing that on PlayStation, on my PS5, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let's play this one and let's go get this platinum trophy. And it is a lot harder to get that platinum trophy than it is to get all the trophies in Persona 5 Royal. So it's going to take me a while.
Oh man. Okay.
I'm also excited. I haven't tried the demo yet. I just downloaded it on Steam. There's a demo for a new game coming out called Demon School. I've
heard of this.
Yeah, the devs were on a kind of funny stream. It was last month. It was like an indie stream. They had a bunch of indie developers coming in, and they were showing off Demon School.
The Persona looking game.
Yeah, like the older Persona 1-2 looking games. Yeah, with like the isometric view and stuff, and yeah, it looks really cool. And they just released a demo out on Steam that I downloaded. Just waiting. I've got this weekend off from kind of doing anything now after this, so I'm going to be playing that probably a couple times over the weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
During their showcase, that's the number 1 game that stuck out to me that I need to play this game.
Yeah.
There were quite a few cool looking games in that showcase, but yeah, same thing. And I'm looking at kind of if you look up a video of it, it's different art styles. Like the characters themselves are like 2D sprites, but then the world is like a 3D world, and those two kind of worlds are melding, and your characters are trying to figure out why.
Yeah. I was so intrigued by that. I'm really excited for it too.
Yeah, and then I'm going to be busy next week because I already told you I had a Switch. That means Tears of the Kingdom, man, that's going to soak up so much of my time. I can't wait.
I mean, if you're into indie games, I guess. Into these lower budget games.
This little Zelda game coming out, it could be cool. Yeah. Also, jumping off our recommendations section, next month we will be talking about the unforgettable fairy tale journey from the mind of Joseph Ferris called Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. This was before he was famous for games like It Takes Two and A Way Out. Joseph Ferris was...
the Oscars.
Yes,
Fuck
that
the
guy.
Oscars.
That guy. He was the creative director of Brothers, and you can see the beginnings of his ideas for co-op games in that one. So you end up controlling 2 different characters at the same time, and have to solve puzzles using both of them and controlling both of them at once. So that's really cool. Either of you guys end up playing Brothers?
I've seen a Let's Play, and I've seen a long time ago an extra credits thing about it, and man, I don't want to spoil anything, but man, you're in for a time.
Yeah. It is something that I played through 5 years ago and still just think about every once in a while. Robert, have you had the chance to try that one?
I haven't played Brothers. I did play A Way Out, which, as you said, was like Joseph Ferris is like I think it's the game after Brothers.
Yeah.
That they made. Yeah. Everybody made. My spouse and I played that, and that game was phenomenal. So if like the gameplay and everything is kind of like that. Well, I mean, obviously not the gameplay, just kind of that overall cohesion. Brothers is probably a great game.
Yeah,
I would imagine it's gonna be really cool.
It is a great one, but it is meant for just one person to play, and for that one person playing it is a hell of an experience. So if you want to be part of the show, just like Jordan and Robert here, feel free to send me an email at psplusgameclub@gmail.com, and let me know what you thought of Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. It is a beautiful game, a wonderful experience, and not that long as well, so very easy to get through. But again, I really want to thank you guys for hanging out with me and talking with me about Rayman Legends. It's been a great time.
Oh yeah, it was a really fun time. It was really nice talking to Kevin and Robert. You guys are awesome. Both really funny dudes.
Yeah.
Enjoy that a lot. If you loved hearing us, like this, share it around, lay
Yes.
down a comment.
Please do share this, because this is a great project that I have a lot of fun putting together. And please send me an email if you want to be on the show and you have a game to recommend. Robert, where can people find you again?
Twitter, Mr_Hawks, twitch.tv/Mr_Hawks182.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody share this around. Share it in the, let's see. Share it in the 80s cartoons subreddit. Share this episode in there.
Right up there,
also
alley,
the
yes.
PlayStation Plus one. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like what you're hearing, Kevin's doing a great job. This is a fucking dope idea for a podcast. I love it.
Thank you so
I'm gonna
much.
start a competing one here in a minute, though. So it's going to be the Xbox Game Pass book club, where we just read books written about games that are on Game Pass. No gameplays.
Okay.
No gameplay. Yeah. So
I want to be a part of that.
Novelizations of Resident Evil 5.
I've read a few of the Halo books. I could talk about those.
Yeah. So make sure you all read those for next month's episode of Book Club X Book Club.
Yeah.
Game Pass Club. I have to figure out a name.
And Jordan, where can people find you?
I don't really have a Twitter.
Okay.
Will anyone have a Twitter soon? We still
Who
don't
knows?
Know.
I'm just waiting for my Blue Sky invite,
Just YouTube, The Sage Temple, and hopefully I'll be posting new Let's Plays there. Man, I really wish I could edit, because there are game editorials and things like that I would love to do, but that's a discussion for another time. Well, guys,
well, thanks a lot for hanging out with me. Again, please subscribe, share this with anyone that you think would be interested. Until our next episode next month, again, talking about Brothers, have a good day, and remember to have fun playing around.